Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Wanted to do a quick review on a movie I just saw on Amazon called The Greasy Strangler. So this movie keeps cropping up over and over in the this group I'm in for bad movies and strange films and cult classics. This is a 2000, I want to say 16. Yep, 2016 film starring Michael St. Michaels, who used to be a hairdresser to the stars in the 70s and 80s. People like John Travolta, Sky Elabar, and Elizabeth DeRazzo. So this is a really weird movie. Um, there's lots of nudity with lots of prosthetic male genitalia. There's female nudity by Elizabeth DeRazzo, who is a heavy-set woman. She gets naked. She has this huge fake bush, and she spreads her butt a little bit too. So this is not for anyone under the age of like I guess 18, but it's so weird. It's the best way to describe it is Napoleon Dynamite for adults, but with some horror shoved in there because there is some creepiness and a lot of like awkwardness, which again I guess ties back to the Napoleon Dynamite type of feeling. So um, Saint Michael, Jesus Christ, Michael Saint Michael's plays Big Ronnie, and he runs a disco themed walking tour. He walks people around and says, "Oh, the Bee Gees created their hit single, blah 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 here, and Gloria Gaynor lived here at one point," and that's how he makes his money. It's completely strange, doesn't make much sense, but it's funny. His son is named Braden, and they're both very strange looking men, long hair, um, strange teeth. They're unattractive and weird looking. That's the best way for me to put it. Anyhow, during their walking tour, and they're both very strange. The things they say are weird. They like saying bullshit artist a lot. You're a bullshit artist. You lied to me. You're a bullshitter. And they just like keep enunciating and saying it sort of dry and strange. And they make up words and do things that are just very awkward and non-realistic. They're like there's something wrong with them. That's the best way for me to put it. It's like that Napoleon Dynamite type of humor, but not as intentionally funny. It's more like weird. So they go on these walking tours and they take the people and show them things. And they run into Elizabeth DeRazzo, who's on one of the tours. And she's sweet on the son, Braden. She starts dating him. They start showing these very weird sex scenes with him and her. He says weird things, he does weird things. Meanwhile, there's this grease covered um, serial killer in the area who's going around murdering people covered in grease. He's like shellacking himself in grease. And every night after the murders, and you find this out very early on, he goes to this car wash who's owned by a blind black guy, and he cleans himself off in the car wash and then walks around naked with this fake penis. It's supposed to be real, I assume, um, which you see way too much during the film. And then has a conversation with the car wash owner, whose name escapes me, but it's not really that important. But he knows it's him because of the way he sounds and how he walks, and he always says, "Hey, Big Ronnie, how you doing?" And then they talk. So the movie's very odd, if I haven't portrayed that already. And the the main Greasy Strangler is Ronnie, the owner of the disco themed walking tour, which you can, like I said, find out very early. Um, it's creepy. He's a creepy man in general. They picked two very creepy individuals for this movie. So the movie's more of a black comedy or a dark comedy. Um, but there's an underlying creepiness to thinking these people are probably out there, in real life. The son starts getting more serious with the girlfriend. The father starts to seduce the girlfriend. They start dating. The son's now flipping out, and that's where it goes. It goes from there. He starts to kind of uh, figure out that he thinks his dad is the Greasy Strangler. Another thing that's a big part of the film is Grease, hence the name. Michael St. Michael's Ronnie is constantly eating things, covering them in oil. He's unhappy at how he's buying things. He buys a hot dog, and he's like, "What's this shit?" The guy goes, "It's a hot dog with all the fixings." And he goes, "I don't want this shit. It needs more grease." And he grabs the hot dog and like literally dunks it into a vat of grease at the bottom of the cart. I looked into the movie a little bit after I watched it, and they said it was all tapioca pudding. They used tapioca pudding as the grease in the movie. They obviously didn't use real grease, but he's very infatuated with, greasing and lubricating his organs, and he needs to put grease all over his food, and he's always licking grease and rubbing it on his face. It's very awkward and weird. Um, I don't want to spoil the film and say too much involving the son and the father and the girlfriend, but they start arguing and fighting over the girlfriend, and then the movie just gets weirder and ends up on a strange note, and that's it. This movie, did I enjoy it? Yes. Is it something I would watch with my family or my wife? No. There's way too much nudity, um, weirdness, and awkwardness. If you like Napoleon Dynamite, but you want something dirtier and darker, and that makes you feel kind of uncomfortable, check out The Greasy Strangler. It's not a movie I would normally recommend to people, and I think most audiences will hate it. But there is that niche audience of dry, dark humor that will go, hmm, that was interesting in a weird way. But yeah, let me know if you guys have seen it. I think it was pretty interesting. Not necessarily something I would rewatch. Maybe I'd rewatch it with a certain group of friends or after a couple of drinks and you're like kind of laughing. That's probably the best way. But don't say I didn't warn you regarding all the weirdness and nudity. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.